Apologies for absence.
Number C, Chairman.
Number C, no apologies for absence. Declarations and members' interest, you chair them now or any time in the meeting you see fit to do so. We go on to our first substantive item tonight, community culture and leisure issues. It's the update of safeguarding policy, Councillor Hills.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. I don't think there's really anything to add to this in as much that it needs updating. When you look at the report, I think it covers it very thoroughly, and I would ask members to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Hills. Any questions, comments, Councillor Paul?
Yes, I'm happy to second it. I've also read the report and it's purely simply an update, Chairman. Thank you.
Steve. No other comments? Are you happy to agree with the recommendation?
Agreed.
The next one, strategic planning issues. The first one is Broughton Village Design Statement, SPD. Councillor James.
Thank you, Chairman. The report seeks approval for consultation on the draft village design statement for Daventry. This was last updated in 2003. Draft has been prepared now, ready to go out to public consultation of the public. It's an excellent document, and there are no controversial issues with this.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor James. Just Councillor Shepherd, one second, for the local member.
Agreed, is an excellent document. Mrs. Shepherd and others have their considerable hands in it.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor Shepherd. Another comment, you have to agree with the resolved item? Thank you. The next item is the Raven Sport Village Design Statement, Councillor James.
Thank you, Chairman. The purpose of this report is to consider the responses to the second consultation exercise on the Ravensthorpe Village Design Statement. And I stress that it is a village design statement, it's not a neighbourhood plan, or anything like that. The first consultation took place following a resolution from the strategy group in April 2016. And members will be aware that after that consultation, it was noticed that there were 3 open spaces of land omitted from the plan, known as F, G and H on the plan. As these spaces of land were considered important open spaces to the village, and now in the special landscape area, it was decided to put out the matter out to a second consultation, which was then considered at the November strategy group. The result of the consultation, that it was evenly split between those that were in favour of the 3 parcels of land being included in the plan, and roughly half were against those 3 parcels being included. Following the strategy group, it came to my attention that there were murmurs about procedure, and I considered it only right when it came before full council to ask for the matter to be deferred and considered again at strategy.
Which of course is a very unusual occurrence.
This is a very unusual occurrence, and I was very reluctant to do it, but nevertheless it has to be seen, the right thing has to be seen to be done. So it's before you this evening. Now, nothing has changed since then, apart from one matter which has been brought to my attention. In the consultations, and part of an item has been missed off.
You got a page there,
if I refer you to page 91.
91, yeah. Trevor and Pat Foss.
Trevor and Pat Foss, there replied. There should be another paragraph added immediately at the bottom of this, following
What, page 92? On page 92?
Yes.
Yeah, where it says this is a village design statement, not the local name of the plan, that'll be useful.
No, it should be at the bottom of page 91.
That goes on to page 92, doesn't it?
Let me just check.
Is that right?
I think it's in the middle of page 92, Chairman. It's at the end of Mr. and Mrs. Foss's observation before you get to the
Right, you're correct. You are correct.
Could you just clarify, Councillor James? Sorry.
Yes, that's correct. After full council.
So that's the full state, is that their full response?
Yeah. After full council, add this paragraph in.
There's another paragraph after by full council.
Yeah.
There's another paragraph to go into.
Yeah, between full council and the response of Ruth Giles. And the paragraph is this. As owners of the land F being, of course, the big 3 parcels,
Right.
we would like to make the following suggestion put forward to us by Councillor Micklewright,
Okay.
Councillor Richard Micklewright. The view from the right-hand side of parcel F has a new hedge planted approximately 18 feet from the boundary. We would have no objection to this strip being given a title, perhaps F, classified as a view point. This would preserve the view and also the privacy of the nearby houses. So that paragraph has been omitted accidentally from that response from Trevor and Pat Cross.
Well, thank you for that. That's submitted, obviously. It's very unfortunate it wasn't put in there. And obviously, I can't comment further than that. And members of the committee have heard that. It was just read out there, David, so I can take them into account.
Thank you. Other than that, so I've nothing further to add regarding this, and I would like to put forward again the recommendation to put forward a previous strategy meeting.
These reports are recommendations 1, 2 and 3.
Yes.
Okay, thank you indeed, Councillor James. Who wants to speak next? Councillor Osborne?
I wish to speak next.
You're the county councillor, aren't you?
I'm their county councillor, not their district councillor.
No.
As I said last time, I went to a meeting and I assumed that it was the VDS meeting, the meeting on discussing the VDS, and that's what I said. I also said that very often when landowners are present at meetings like that, parish council meetings, they can persuade other members by the fact that they're there. That's something that's disagreed with, I know, by the applicants, but it's something as a parish councillor that I've seen and I know does happen. Anyway, I made my comments thinking it was the VDS meeting.
Yes.
It wasn't the VDS meeting.
Okay.
It was just after a planning application had been determined on that site.
Right.
So my comments last time were wrong, and my comments this time are correct.
That needs to be put in the minutes.
That needs to be put in that I said the wrong thing. I was wrong last time. I assumed it was the VDS meeting. It wasn't the VDS meeting. It was a planning application.
Well, it's very good of you to actually confirm that, Councillor Osborne.
No, that's correct.
On the record, yeah, absolutely right. Thank you for that. Councillor Micklewright, you're the local member, sorry, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Tonight I'm trying, if I can, to try and ride 2 horses simultaneously. I'm trying to represent what I believe to be the views of people of Ravensthorpe, but also represent Mr. and Mrs. Foss, who are the landowners for F&G and who are in the chamber tonight, who I think have been somewhat unfairly disadvantaged in this. Mr. and Mrs. Foss weren't able to attend the strategy group meeting in November. However, they did listen to the recording of the meeting afterwards and felt very strongly that the strategy group had not been given the full facts, and certain statements made by some councillors were incorrect or at best misleading, and I suspect that probably references to the comments just from Councillor Steve Osborne. Mr. and Mrs. Foss, I think, would like to emphasise that they are long-standing Ravensthorpe people, that they are committed wholly to the interests of the village, and I believe Mr. Foss actually was born and bred in the village. The VDS group, which carried out the work, was not the parish council. They held an open day in the village hall at the time. Villagers clearly see that F, G and H were to be taken out of the open space category. New areas have been added, including the Millennium Wood, the Pocket Park and 3 further pieces of land And these new areas that were added account for more than double the size of F, G and H, giving, as Mr and Mrs Foss would say, a real amenity value, and most of them have very good views over the Ravensthorpe Reservoir. Unlike F, G and H, villagers would also have the right of public access to this land. They don't currently have access to F and G and H because it's private property. The results of the second consultation, which we reported to the strategy group in November, were 13 in favour, 15 against, F, G and H being designated as open space. Mr and Mrs Foss had done a bit of further analysis of the results as set out in our papers, taking into account those that are shown as Mr and Mrs, so that's technically, I guess, 2 responses. Based on their calculations, which I've not sought to check, that shows 20 people for including it in the VDS and 25 against, or in percentage terms 45 to 55%. And Mr and Mrs Foss are therefore at something of a loss to understand why, but if you have a second consultation, their views are not to be taken into account that way. I think there are a few things that landowners would like members to be aware of when considering this. And they are, firstly, the VDS group in Ravensthorpe had intended to exclude those from the VDS. It wasn't an accidental omission. The first consultation had no objections from the village to the removal of F, G and H. The new proposed draft VDS more than doubles the open space around the village that is currently set out in the existing VDS. And as Councillor James has alluded to, there was a proposal from Mr and Mrs Foss to enhance the access to and security around the view by separating off that part of the piece of land known as F that would allow the public to appreciate it. Speaking more for myself, as I'm trying to ride two horses, in my view, the overall balance of opinion within Ravensthorpe is that it should be included in the VDS. I have to admit that there is no particular science behind that. I haven't carried out a survey, it's not statistically significant. I haven't gone along the road knocking on every door and asking people. It's just drawn from conversations around the village. But that is my view of what the people generally would believe. It's not Mr and Mrs Foss's view for the reason stated. But I do think it's important that everybody who puts in a response to a consultation gets a fair crack of the whip and a fair hearing. And I don't believe that Mr and Mrs Foss have had that here. Mr Foss had told me that he was in November intending to make representations about protecting the view for the purposes of a piece of land F, and I was somewhat surprised that he didn't do it as I understood it. I did speak in November. I stand by what I said then. Had he said what he told me he was going to say, I would have referred to it in what I said in November. Mr Foss then informed me, subsequent to the November meeting, that he had indeed submitted a consultation response along those lines, but that we hadn't been told about that. So a while back, a few days ago, I went to the planning department and asked to see every consultation that had come in from everybody, and I cross-checked them against the report that you've got before you tonight. I was surprised to find that there were a number of omissions. For the most part, these were relatively simple one-word omissions that didn't strike me as particularly significant or material. However, there was one massive omission, namely that part of Mr and Mrs Foss's response that sought to protect access to the views, and that is most definitely significant and most definitely material. I won't read it out again, Councillor James has already done that. But I did find it concerning that any significant part of any response to any public consultation should be removed and not be reported to members for whatever reason. But I'm flabbergasted that a piece of wording from all people, the very landowners in question, should be excluded. And I think this raises a number of questions. Firstly, why was such an important piece of consultation feedback excluded? Secondly, if it was excluded, was it taken into account fully and properly by officers when formulating the advice that's written in tonight's report? And would that advice have been, what would that advice have been had it been properly and fully evaluated? And lastly, how can members rely on accurate reporting of public responses or other consultations if omissions of this significance can occur? Surely we're not supposed to go and check them all individually ourselves. I don't know which way the debate's going to go from here on, but I would urge colleagues to think very carefully about this, as I think it has implications beyond Ravensthorpe VDS in this particular item. It has implications for other things that involve the reporting of public opinion to us.
Thanks, Speaker, Councillor Wick. I just want to start off by saying, Mrs. Foss, I was contacted about Mrs. Foss, and I agreed that the process had been done correctly, which is why we brought this back. At the last meeting, unfortunately, you were away, a long, long way away, so you went ahead to the local member, and we decided that meeting, in all fairness, to actually bring it forward to this meeting. So I think in terms of process, because that's what we're talking about, it's process, from my point of view as chairman, I think we've done our very best to make sure Mr. and Mrs. Foss have a fair hearing. I'll also say on the last point about the bit about the omission, which David Councillor James read out, it doesn't mean the officers didn't receive that part of the submission, and no doubt would have actually, whilst it's not printed in our papers, I'd like to think that they would have taken that into account, but I'll get that clarification point in a minute. Even though it's not printed in our papers, which might have been a clerical error rather than it's been missed out altogether, that's one thing I would say. I'll ask the officers if that's the case actually. Simon, can I ask you?
Thank you, Chairman. I have discussed this matter with the officer and dealt with it. She's most apologetic about the accidental omission of that piece of text from the printed report. How it arose, we know Word can play tricks at times, and tables are particularly awkward and at times don't do what we want. Maybe the text was there literally underneath the end of the cell. Such things can happen. I have discussed it with her, and she assures me that with the knowledge of that, she would still have given us the same professional view as to the recommendation before you. Now, it's clearly open to members to decide whichever way you think is best, but that is her professional view.
That's very helpful. I just want that point clarified, because obviously errors occur, and it's a clerical error, and I don't think it's a big issue about a clerical error on one point. I mean, I don't know, like you don't know, Councillor Wick, if there's any other errors around anywhere, that they will occur from time to time. But what Councillor Simon Barnes is saying is actually that made no material difference to the officer's viewpoint, because she'd taken that into account. So obviously the committee can listen to that as well tonight, see what their views are. So thanks to the local member anyway, so I appreciate that. Right, Councillor Gilbert.
Thank you, Chair. I know how difficult it is when producing something like a village design statement or a neighbourhood development plan. You will not please everyone, and you will definitely upset others. Reading the document, what I understand is the group who presented this document are a group in its own entity, but have I missed the parish council's views of what their thoughts were? So my first question is just clarification on what the parish council's thoughts were. And then looking at the statistics, there's none in favour or against in the first consultation, and very close in the second consultation to make such a decision, is what was the defining, if you took out the actual vote, what was the defining decision to come to the decision?
To come to the recommendation.
Recommendation.
Okay, on the first point, actually, Councillor Wick, do you know what the parish council's view was on it? Do you know that at all? Do you remember?
I believe, I wasn't present when they took any vote on it, but I believe they are supportive of FG&H not being in the VDS.
Not in the, okay, fine, thank you. Okay. On the second point, Simon, Councillor Gilbert mentioned.
Sorry, just to be clear, and I understand the question.
So it's a very close vote, yes. Yes, there is a winner, such past the post, but it's very close to make such a decision on such close vote. So what was the driving factor to include or exclude?
Or led to the recommendation.
I think the important point to bear in mind here, this is a consultation, not a referendum. Planning decisions, whether they be decisions on development management or decisions on policy, are weighed rather than counted in the jargon. So it's a question of the strength of the arguments rather than the number of votes. Do you want me to turn to Councillor Osborne?
Councillor Osborne?
I would guess that part of it could have been the fact that the site has lost on planning and on appeal. I would guess that would have some bearing on it as well. That's just information, not.
Okay, fair information.
Indeed, I think that is valid. A planning inspector has looked at this point, it's referred to as a report, and concluded that development should be permitted on these lands. So there is a view there which is of some weight in the overall balance considerations. But the planning officer, the planning policy officer, has obviously been in the village, extensively considered the views which are to be had. It's important to realise that to be an important open space, it doesn't need to be a space with public access. It's to function as a gap in development, and orders of view are also important. So all of those factors have gone into the mix. It's a balanced consideration. As I said, the committee can decide either way differently tonight, despite the advice you have.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, observations, questions? Councillor Gilbert.
You've probably gathered that this is a passionate subject for myself. So what I've understood here is that the parish council are in favour of not being included, that it's a close vote, but the dark driver was the planning conditions. But often at planning, it's the local voice that gets, I won't say ignored, because you'll shoot me down for that, but sometimes we need to listen to our parish councils.
Well, actually, I listen to people in the village, because parish councils may only be 2 or 3 people taking the view. Yes, I'm just getting this right. I think the thing I always look at is what residents think, and I think it's been expressed by Councillor Mickelwright, it's quite a close view on those who actually responded, for or against. And that's the balance, I think, that you as members have to judge tonight about how you take this forward. Is that fair, Councillor Mickelwright?
That's a person.
Are there any other more points for clarification or questions? Any officers want to say? Oh yes, Councillor Collins.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, I think there is one very important point that's raised on page 85 of the document, where one of the people do actually express the fact that 98% of the respondents originally in 2014 wanted the wildlife protected, and 96% who wanted the trees and hedgerows protected. It then goes on to explain why that's actually very important. And I think that's something we shouldn't lose sight of when we think about this, and remembering that it wasn't originally included these areas were not originally included in the first discussions. I think that's quite important, and I think it would have a detrimental effect, to be perfectly honest with you.
Thank you for drawing that to our attention. Thank you, Councillor Collins. If there's no more comments, I'll come to the vote. So all those in favour of the 3 recommendations before you, please show. Committee members. 1. All those in favour of the 3 recommendations? All those against? 1. You member of the committee, Councillor Collins?
Yes.
There was 2 ones.
Who's 2 ones? Show those in favour of the recommendation.
Councillor Shepherd and
Councillor Shepherd and Councillor James. My apologies, Councillor James, and Councillor Paul. Why haven't they suddenly waking up now then? Why not vote at a time?
Well,
I did ask those in favour of the 3 recommendations.
Chairman, with the greatest respect to all, there seems a little confusion.
No, Councillor Paul, I've asked people, are there any further observations or questions? If you're confused, that's the time to ask the questions. I go to a vote, and the first time ever in my experience, no one seems to be voting apart from 2 or 3 people, which is extraordinary. Now, I think, Councillor Paul, if you've got any observations to make them now so we can actually hear what they are.
Well, I just have a feeling that the colleagues within this room are slightly confused on the due process, and do we need to bring it back to committee again, which absolutely galls me. I'm listening to the evidence.
Why are you saying that, Councillor Paul? The point I'm trying to say is we're at committee now. We've already referred it on once, so why keep referring it on and on? Well, what are you confused about? What's the point you're confused about?
Well, I'm trying to get my head round the G and F and views and I've listened to Councillor Mickelwright and just slightly confused. Unusual for me, but I'm slightly confused.
Yes, Councillor.
I think Councillor James has pointed the map out, and which takes away some of the confusion. But as we've already said, it's a consultation, it's not a referendum, and it can be changed. So I will vote in favour, Chairman.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Simon?
I mean, perhaps just to try and clear up any confusion there may be, there's no need to bring it back to the committee a third time. Yes, there was an omission report, but that's been corrected. You have all heard the piece of text that was omitted, and you can take your decisions in the light of both the written information and the verbal information you've received. So you have a balanced set of information to make the decision on the basis of. That's fine. I think there may have been a touch of confusion about if you voted yes, which one you voted for. I think to my mind, it's quite clear the Chair would ask you to vote in favour of the recommendations as they stood.
And you heard that the officer had taken into account the missing text, which has been referred to. So that's all I was asking for. Very unusual for our members not to be putting their hands up one way or the other. So I'm just asking again, so those in favour of the three recommendations, can you please show? And those against? One. Abstentions? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which shows the difficult issue. So that's got been passed. Thank you very much indeed.
Do some new abstentions reflect the confusion, Chairman?
No. Thank you. That's the communication issues. Mr. Payphones, Councillor Wayne Howard.
Thank you, Chair. We have two items here tonight. One to be resolved, one as a recommendation. For new members, we have had discussions on this reporting of the removal of the red K6 telephone boxes since 2008. We have received a request from BT for them to remove 49 telephone boxes within our district. A notice was posted by BT in every box advising of the intent of the removal of the said box. We, the DDC, have consulted with all parish councils on the proposed. We also placed an article on our website regarding the proposed removal of the 49 boxes by BT. BT has established a system which provides parish councils of the option of adopting their telephone boxes for £1. The internal phone system itself will be removed by BT. Various ideas for future uses of the telephone boxes have been put forward by some of the parishes, including information centres, and one which was for housing a defibrillator, which is the heart shock style machines. DDC has previously supported parishes wishing to adopt their boxes, Newnham being the latest request to object to the removal, therefore wanting to retain the telephone box. Just to give a little understanding of why we want to safeguard this iconic symbol, the red K6, as it's known, was designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott back in 1880, I do apologise. The red K6 was produced in 1935 to commemorate the Silver Jubilee of King George V. This model was the first public telephone to be installed nationwide. Sir Giles is also famous for designing Battersea Power Station, Liverpool Anglican Cathedral, a number of other world-famous landscape buildings, including the orchestrating of repairs to our House of Commons following World War II bombing damage. So the advice here this evening is to be resolved that the suggested response for each of the 49 telephone boxes set out in Appendix A to be agreed. The recommendation is that the business manager be authorised to agree to the decommissioning of telephone boxes in future where A, there is no objective need for the telephonery, and B, the telephone box is either not a traditional red K6 type or would be adopted by the parish council or other suitable bodies.
Thank you, Councillor Howard. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Any comments or observations? Councillor Hills first.
Thank you, Chairman. It says that part of the introduction refers back to 2008, where there were 55 boxes involved. In those days it was part of my portfolio. I'm not sorry that I've passed it over to Wayne. I'm not complaining about that, but we really set out and looked at this very, very thoroughly, and we did support the fact that where there was a need, these boxes should be retained. And when I look at the appendix, I think we've covered that pretty well. So, and I certainly feel that it's an ideal opportunity as well for some of the parish councils to take over these boxes and make good use of it. So I do support these, the resolved item and the recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Hill. Thank you, Councillor Osborne.
Yes, we got one at Rugby Ward, Chairman, that we asked, and that was rejected. We discussed it the other night, actually.
Right.
And if BT won't continue with it, you can take it away. That was a parish council view. So if they don't continue with it, with the service, we'll lose it, because we certainly, as a parish, do not want to keep painting that and replacing glass in it. There's no way.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Osborne. Councillor Paul.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I would like to make an offer that any of these telephone boxes could be removed and placed in my backyard, and I'd happily pay the town, and I'll happily collect any that are not required.
Well, I hope you don't get too many, Councillor Paul. This is going live. Or not live, will be out tomorrow. Councillor Chandler.
Thank you, Chairman, for allowing me to speak, not being a member. I do have a personal concern. I know it's not shared by the parish councils in my ward, but if all the telephone boxes are removed, including the modern one, there is no opportunity for anybody to contact emergency services if they don't have a mobile telephone.
That's a good point. A very good point, Councillor Chandler. Councillor Warren.
Just information, basically, within the village I live, which is Holcott, the telephone box there is actually converted into a book donation kiosk, which is widely used throughout the village, and you can go in and take a book or donate a book in, and it's used widely without, throughout the village.
That's it. I heard of that. That's very interesting. Thank you for that. Showing that. Okay, are there any other comments or observations? Yes, Councillor Bourne.
Chairman, some of the villages nationally have used them for defibrillators and all for the benefit of the local village DNA first response team within that village. They need to simply go to the BT phone box and use the defibrillator there.
Thank you indeed for that observation. We have two items here. One is the resolved item, the first one, that suggested response to each of the 49 telephone boxes set out in Appendix A, B and B. Are you happy to read that resolved item? Very good. And the second one's a recommendation, which I won't read out, which you have before you. Are you happy to support that recommendation?
Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve, Councillor Howard, Councillor Hills. Now we go on to corporate issues. The NCC budget, medium-term financial plan and council plan consultation. This obviously is a draft consultation response to NCC's budget proposals for the coming municipal year. I want to kick off by saying, if I may, that very unfortunately these papers were produced, as you know, you got the papers a week ago, like I did, and there was obviously also there's an online version. And for reasons which the Chief Executive is investigating, the investigation, the online version is not the version you have before you. I only discovered this yesterday morning by chance, and the Chief Executive discovered it yesterday afternoon by chance, well not by chance then, because he was told by then. But I'm going to say I was not happy about this, because clearly there was a draft paper put forward originally by officers, which had two recommendations on it, or two resolved items on it. And I knocked one of those back, and it's only the one, which is the one before you. And unfortunately, due to circumstances which we'll learn in due course, the other version found its way online. I made apologies immediately to the County Council when this area was established, and it's taken offline, online, and straight away taken off online when we found out the error. And we've got the right version on there. The version you have tonight is the one we're talking about. It's the one that should have gone out, did go out in the first place in paper form. Unfortunately, an error occurred which meant the wrong version was put online, which had not been approved. And it was unfortunate. The Chief Executive was also very concerned by this, and he's going to look into the circumstances of what happened there. I think that's important to say that, because that has caused a bit of a fury, which was never intended to be, because it was never meant to go out. It was just a draft, and I was subject to lead, I said it should go out in that form, and that one recommendation was taken away. Clearly, this is a proposed draft. We are a sovereign council in our own right. We have a duty to respond to their consultation. It's a consultation by the county council, and what you have before you is a draft for you to consider, and obviously whatever we decide tonight is what we'll draft as our response to the consultation. So on that basis, I leave it open to the committee and others to decide. Should we start with Councillor Shepherd?
Chairman, thank you. Chairman, members, we are asked to consult we are invited to respond on the 1 year's budget for 17-18. The report that we have before us and the representations undoubtedly goes significantly beyond a comment on a single year's budget. I'll return to that point in a second. The actual budget of the county contains 3 brand new features. Firstly, it's the first time the county has drawn a budget on a zero-based accounting, which is their credit that they're doing that now. Secondly, it's the first time the county has been able to use capital receipts for revenue, quite lawfully. I'll return to that point. Thirdly, it's the first time that the county has been able to raise another 6% over 3 years. Now, I'm not an apologist for the county. I'm not seeking to represent the county on this point. I'm simply introducing my comments to support my view that it's wholly inappropriate for us to talk about insolvency of our county council. The capital receipt point that I mentioned brings into account, when you think about insolvency, the question of the balance sheet of the person or the company, or in this case the authority, that we are talking about. And the balance sheet of this county council showed in March of this last year 1.1 billion pounds of assets, and that is a valuation on replacement. And so, for example, when the planning permission was granted to Upton Fields some years ago, the county did not uplift the value. It takes the value of agricultural land. So the valuation at 1.1 is reasonably conservative. And it doesn't take much imagination to accept that if you've got a balance sheet showing assets of that nature, you can release some of them in due course. And as necessary, to deal with, hopefully, relatively short-term stresses and strains on an underfunded health and social care budget. That's what balances are for. And that is why the county this year have identified the use of capital receipts as being part of their budget process. And it is wholly inappropriate, I'm afraid, as is commented in the report, to describe them as unlawful. No, even the reference to unlawful is qualified by what we're told it would normally be unlawful.
You just compare which part of the paper?
4.2 in the 4.2 in the report, there is reference that the use of capital receipts would normally
4.2, John.
Would normally be unlawful. So, top of page 128.
Well, 4.2 is on page 123. Sorry.
Top of
I
page
was looking at the actual report. I was looking at the actual response.
I'm talking about the report. Top of page 128.
Oh, sorry.
The report is. I'm talking about the report at the moment.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Not the response. The report refers to criticises the intention. Would normally be unlawful. It's not unlawful.
Where does it say it is, John?
Sorry?
Just trying to get where the point making.
This would normally be unlawful. 5 lines from the top of 128. Okay. Now the report, members need to bear this in mind. The report was written to substantiate.
The word normal is used there, John, doesn't say it is.
I appreciate that. But there's a reference to unlawful. There's also a reference later on to substantially in risk of being unable to meet its financial obligations, i.e. technical insolvency.
Which paragraph is that on, John?
That's in the second paragraph of 4.2.
Right.
Yeah, that converts in the responses to materials. So I'm simply flagging out here some comments that are made as to interpretation of the county council's accounts that there's a reference to unlawfulness, there's a reference to, I think, technically insolvency. Now, the author of this report is one of our respected officers, and I'm not in a position to comment adversely at all, and he can't comment on the facts that he recites. I spent an hour or so with Simon on Monday, and I'm entirely happy that where he recites certain facts, in particular section 6 of the response, they're right. But what I am unhappy with is the interpretation that is based upon those facts. Now, bear in mind, Chairman and members, that this report, in its entirety, was written to support two pieces of advice. Okay, the report was written to support two pieces of advice. One, the advice that we have before us, that it supports a response to the County Council. So the response to the County Council is appended to the report. The advice is, as normal, that the response to the County Council is sent as drafted, as we would expect. The report, however, not the draft response, the report, however, was written to support two recommendations.
Which I already mentioned, Councillor Shepherd.
Which, Chris, you just mentioned.
And I know those recommendations out.
I appreciate that. But what I'm talking about is the writer of the report, writing this report, in the same way that when if a planning officer is writing a report in connection with a planning application, he knows in the course of writing it whether he's writing it to support or to refuse the application. The report was written for two purposes, to support representations which we've seen appended, and also to support the recommendation to us that we write to the Secretary of State, the Communities and Local Government, and ask him to consider if he wants to intervene in the management of the county under the Government Act 1999 to ensure that delivery services critical to residents are not distributed.
That's not before it's tonight, John, is it?
Sorry?
That's not before it's tonight. That's in the draft version, which I said, I took that recommendation out.
I exactly accept that this is not, but my point I suggest is still that the report was written for that purpose, and the report seeks to address the worst case scenario of the borough county, of the county, in order to support suggestions that it's insolvent, there's a risk of insolvency. I'm trying to choose my words very carefully. To support the suggestion that there's a risk of insolvency, and to support the suggestion that the Secretary of State should be involved. That was the purpose of the report.
That's not the purpose of the report before us, Jeff.
Indeed, I entirely accept. But my simple point is that it follows, and pausing there, following that the publication of that report as something's going to be withdrawn, and it's not before us.
Chairman, can I just ask that when we're talking to the publication of a report, we're talking about the publication of a draft of a report which was subsequently amended.
Yes.
So can we get that straight?
Yes.
We're talking about the papers before us as in planning, but the report that you're talking about was a draft report that was inadvertently publicised as a clerical error.
Yeah, well,
is that correct?
That's what I'm told.
Thank you.
But as was put to Chris on the radio this morning, the report that did go on the web, the report that on the web did ask that the Secretary of State be written to, was a report signed off by officers at some stage.
No.
And so the point put to
That's not correct, Councillor Shepherd. Can I just ask the Chief Executive to confirm that point?
Indeed.
The point about the radio this morning was the report was taken down from the site yesterday. I mean, it was there. Someone told me you were told about this report 2 days ago. I don't know if that's true or not, Councillor Shepherd. I knew nothing of it. And I found out yesterday, purely by chance, yesterday morning, when I saw a copy of it on someone's iPad, and I didn't really understand what was going on, because that wasn't the report that's before us this evening. I'd like to just ask the Chief Executive, if I may, just to explain about the sign-off, because the draft report I saw, the one which went out inadvertently, I had already said that recommendation 2 should not be on that report, and that's exactly what's happened tonight. We haven't got recommendation 2, because it's not our position to write to government to actually tell them to interfere or to intervene in another council's affairs like that, unless of course they do it themselves. They do it themselves on that basis, and that's why I did not put that recommendation in. But if you want to talk about the process in, I think that would be quite helpful.
If I may, Chairman, I will just deal with the process. The process for all reports to all committees, with the exception of the Planning Committee, is that they come to SMT. And SMT as a whole will look at the reports and will make their comments on the draft of reports. Ultimately, those reports are sent to me in the finished version and with all the manager's input taken on board. I sign off the final version of every report that comes in particular to this committee. I sign off the version you have in front of you. And as the leader has said, what has happened is the report that I signed off has been circulated to members as exactly as I would have expected. I had no knowledge, just as Councillor Shepherd has inferred, of the difference between the report that was signed off and the report that was inadvertently put online. I was shocked when I came back. I was at the County Chief Executive meeting yesterday morning, and up to that point, including a meeting with the Chief Executive of the County Council, and up to that point, I believed that the report that was online was the report that you have in front of you tonight. And that's exactly how all reports are. The final sign-off for all reports comes to me. And this is the report that I signed on. I will just correct one other point that Councillor Shepherd has made, and that's the inference that the report was wholly written on the basis of 2 recommendations. The report was not written on the basis of those 2 recommendations. The report was written as it has been in other years. And we've written 2 more reports on 2 previous years, which has taken exactly the same format as this. The situation, as we perceive it, only based on the facts that we've got from the county, so their published figures, not our published figures, is that the situation over the 3 years we've been talking about has been getting progressively worse. And this report reflects the fact that between this year and last year, the situation has got worse. It was never written with the idea of 2 recommendations in mind. That was an iteration of a draft report.
Thank you, Chief Executive.
I must obviously accept that entirely. My comment earlier that the report that appeared on the web was signed off by the CMT was clearly wrong, but the fact of the matter is somebody wrote it, and it was...
It's a draft job, it's a draft report.
It was the opinion of the officer. Can I just go on to what we've got to do about this now? It seems to me that there are 3 alternative courses of action that we can address with this report tonight. One is to accept the report and accept the draft response as it stands. 2 is to address some what I regard as highly offensive elements of it, namely the reference to insolvency and possibly some other drafting points.
On the response?
Yes. Turning to the response itself.
Okay.
Thirdly, and Chairman, this frankly is the alternative of these 3 that frankly I prefer, which is that we resolve that the Chief Exec in consultation with me, and if he wants to, the leader, redraws the response. Now, those I think, without doubt, are the options open to us tonight. My preference, as I said, is for the 3rd. And in doing so, perhaps I should just touch upon one other aspect of the representations, which I think are unnecessarily contentious, should I say. There's no part of the budget for 17-18 that references unitary authority. There's no part of the budget, as I understand it, for 18-19 that references unitary authority. The part of the budget on which we're invited to consult that references unitary authority is quite accurately quoted at 7.1. That's hidden away in the Chief Exec's section of the budget, talking about savings of 10 million some 3 years away, 1920.
2 years away.
All right, in 1920, 2 years away, so savings of 10 million, referred to at 7.2 in the report. Now, we're asked to consult really on the long-term plan, but principally the budget for next year. As I said, it's a short 8 or 9 line paragraph referencing to unitary, which then sparks off three pages actually of response by us to the unitary issue. And I suggest that really this is not the time or place to debate unitary, whatever views we may have about it's for a later date. And unitary is not raised in next year's budget, legally referred to in terms of budget for 1920. Anyway, Chairman, that's principally all that I've got to say. If members were minded to accept only option 2, my suggested 3 options.
Just remind that one, sorry, John.
Option 1 was to accept the report as it stands.
Yeah.
Option 2 is to redraw, and if one has to redraw, one would take out 2.8 in its entirety.
2.8 of the response.
2.8 of the response. Frankly, you know, I have received, as have county council members, I've received an 8-page response from Robin Brown and officers of the county to our draft legislation, and I have it here.
I have a copy also, John.
Excellent. And if one were to do a proper response to the consultation, bearing in mind the county's response to our draft, in all fairness, one needs to look at this, which is really why I suggest that it's not appropriate in this forum to go through a drafting exercise. That the best route is, as I indicated earlier, my option 3, which is to ask the Chief Exec to revise the response to the consultation of Chris and me. That can be done in the next couple of weeks. The consultation period ends on the 24th of January, so that's plenty of time for that to be done. Chairman, I think those are the points I wanted to make.
Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. Can I just first of all say, Councillor Shepherd, this is the most unusual request of yours. This is actually a response to another council's budget. And that's what we're here tonight to put forward our proposal for that budget. And I know you said you're not an apologist for the County Council, so therefore you're not speaking for the County Council. And what I have found a bit strange is, obviously due to the erroneous report that went out online, and I understand why that kicked off a bit of a furore, because that should never have gone out anyway. That was not what we agreed to put out onto the public arena. I have to say, by referring to 7.1 of the response, on 7.1, it clearly states here, under the heading of Chief Executive Services, it included savings proposals, unitary local government organisation. And therefore, this work will be carried out throughout 2017/18, which is the year we're actually responding to. So I think it's perfectly right for us to actually respond on the unitary agenda. And I said the fact this council's overall position, although not yours personally, I said that, is that we do not support a county unitary. Now I think this is important, Councillor Shepherd, because unless we have the freedom to express what this council's views are, without being tied into what the county might want us to put in, I would be very seriously concerned that members have a free hand with dealing with facts, I have to say, Councillor Shepherd. And if there's anything, and I get the point you make about some of the language, and you haven't come forward with any suggested changes yet, and I'm happy to do so later on. But I think it's very, very important we're dealing with the facts, the factual position of the County Council, because when it comes to unitary, or anything that follows where we are now on reorganisation, it's very, very important we fully understand the impact of the biggest authority in this county by a long way, and its impact on all our services, because we are a cheap council tax council delivering good services with a small team, and therefore, and that's the same as 7 boroughs across the county, to varying levels. I'm not saying, we're all brilliant, but they're good councils overall. And if you're going to change all that for a county unitary, and I'm going through the debate tonight, then clearly we have to take that into account in our response. Because the county council, again, I had an email today, and I had it confirmed today, the county council for going ahead with the county unitary proposal. That's fine, I've got no problem with that. That's their concern. That's their business. And obviously our council may have a different view on that. And I just think the key thing here is we should not have our hands tied on a draft proposal by another body. We're actually responding to their budget consultation. Now, as in previous years, John, we responded before, they ignored it. We never heard anything again. And that's fine, that's their choice. But I don't think we should be, members tonight have to decide what they want to see in that response. And if you want to put any words out later on, I'll let other members speak. Then please let me know what the words are, where the line is, and clearly we'll take it from there. Also, our silent ballot first to respond to some of the points you made, John, if I may, and then we go out into more in a minute. I'll just let silent ballots come first. Thank you.
Thanks, Chairman. Firstly, I would have to say in response to Councillor Shepherd that he's incorrect. The County Council's budget report is very clear. The recommendation which the Cabinet approved says the Cabinet approves the consultation, the draft budget, and there are 3 sub-items under that I won't read out, the Council Plan 17 to 18 to 2021, set out in Appendix A, the draft medium-term financial plan 2017-18 to 2020-21. So it is quite clear that NCC is consulting not just on a single year's budget, but on a 4-year MTFP and on a council plan covering the same period of time. It is therefore entirely appropriate that we respond to the consultation on the things we are asked about. Secondly, I have to say I take some professional exception to the style of report writing that has been alleged of me and my colleagues. The report was not written to support any particular recommendations other than response to the consultation. It was written on the basis of the evidence as we found it. And what happened during that process was we became sufficiently concerned about what we found that we felt it was necessary to discuss with the Chief Executive the option of a second recommendation. That is a normal process as part of the work group. There was no prior agenda, there was no intention of writing a report to achieve that outcome. It was simply a question of where the evidence gets. In terms of one final item that Councillor Shepherd raised, the NCC asset value. The bulk of that asset value actually consists of a highway network, which is indeed valuable. In the most recent figure applying the 14-15 assessment of the assets, the county council's bridges, highway bridges, are worth about £500 million. Now that's great, and they are indeed valuable because we all use them, but you can't sell them, or at least not very much. And similarly, a large part of left of that is other highway assets. What I would draw your attention to in terms of the ability of the county to use assets is that there are 2 remaining years of this specific permission to use capital for service transformation. It is not a general permission to use capital for any revenue spending design. It has to be a revenue spending that achieves cost reduction going forward. The County Council's draft capital strategy, page 21, says following the announcement of SR 15, that's spending in 2015, allowing local authorities to use capital receipts to fund revenue cost of reform projects, the Council has agreed to utilise the vast majority of its capital receipts in 16-17 and 17-18 to support the move to a net generation council and the revenue gets of this transformation. So the County Council is already budgeting to expend, by its own words, the vast majority of its capital receipts during the period when that's permitted for service transformation. So there isn't any headroom, or almost no headroom, to spend additional capital to resolve revenue problems. And that is another factor which led us to the conclusions that the report sets out. I think, Chairman, I can leave it there.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. I know that Councillor Shepherd, you met with Simon Bowers on the different response, and you were satisfied with due to the accuracy of what's been said. Not something made up, it's actually based upon their own figures and their own audit reports, etc., both external and internal. And I think the key thing for us is it's about services. We're very keen to maintain services, and therefore we have a duty on behalf of all our residents to actually put forward an honest but fair. I'm quite happy about the use of some of the language you might intend, we can discuss that, John. I think it's important that we have a fair and honest response to this budget. And I just hope that the County Council can take that in the right spirit. I'll try to be helpful. So I think I have to say our officers, in my opinion, have done a very good job. It's not just Simon, by the way, it's a team behind this. Have done a very thorough job and trying for the right reasons. It's not actually to create problems for the county, it's trying to help the situation. And when we do come down, as you mentioned already, Councillor Shepard, it's been mentioned again, publicly, the County Council are looking at the restructuring exercise for Northamptonshire. For me personally, John, I just want the best deal. I'm not precious about holding on to the county I'm leader of. I think it's about the best deal for the county as a whole. And therefore, I think a lot of members will take that view, hopefully, that we're looking for the best options moving forward. And of course, we're not going to debate that tonight, because that's not on the agenda. But I think Simon Ballas said we are responding to their consultation. That's all it is, it's a response to the consultation. I think that's very, very important. So I've got hands going up. Councillor Osborne.
Thank you, Chair. I met with the leader of the County Council today because I wanted to find out some answers face to face so that I could find out what it was all about tonight.
Yeah.
So I said, well, what is wrong with the figures then that we've interpreted? And this was the answer that I was given. We've looked at this, when I say we, I mean this council. Because when I say county, I mean the other one I'll kind of always bloody on as well. This council has judged its comments on the figures given before the government gave its 1% increase and before it allowed it, gave them in effect more money. That was her first comment.
Okay.
So it's got its figures wrong. That was the first comment. I also said, as a member, along with Cecile, of Audit Committee, that I was aware of a 12.5 million deficit between now and the end of this financial year. And the Chief Financial Officer said at the time, when pushed, said that the worst case scenario would be that there are £12.5 million reserves, so that the worst case scenario would be to use those reserves to keep us going till April, right? But then again I found out today that the actual position at the end of November was a 9.9 million deficit. The actual position, the expected position, although it's about to be confirmed at the end of December, is a 7.8 million deficit. It is expected by the end of January to be a 5.2 million deficit, still maintaining the £12.5 million reserves. Now, that's what I got from the leader today.
Right.
I get a feeling that talking to the leader of the County Council, the annoyance part is on the other one that you talked about, the other one that was put on the put online, that was very offensive to the County Council. They didn't like it. They didn't like the fact it wasn't withdrawn till the 24th hour, in other words, yesterday afternoon.
Well, in fact,
but I know where the district council has that you didn't find out.
No, that's what I'm saying, yeah. Why wouldn't we? Because you have paper copies, I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah. You know, so I'm not taking the county council's point. I'm just saying what the meeting.
And when I did find out, I apologised straight away.
Yeah, and I was told that as well. Yeah. I don't like a couple of words in it.
Okay, which words do you like?
The whole report I haven't got a problem with, because but the actual words that say on 2.8, risk of insolvency,
okay.
I'm happy with the rest of it that says, therefore appears that the NCC
this is on the response to the report.
Yeah, on the face of material risk of being unable to meet obligations when they become due, full stop as far as I'm concerned.
You don't want to say
well, it just lights another fire. Yeah. It lights a fire that needs to be lit. I don't believe.
Okay, so you want to take out it will be detected being solved.
That's what I would propose for better relations.
Okay.
Although I'm not trying to do that for the benefit of myself, who's a county councillor. Also, there is, again, been sent to me by a very senior member of the county council that although we're talking about bridges and roads being assets, there are £60 million of assets out there that could be realised.
60 million, is it?
No, that hasn't been put in official papers, but it was said to me today. Okay? I welcome the chief exec's, our chief exec's comment that he will investigate how that report ended up on the website, which is a good management thing to do. So I welcome that, Chairman, and I think that's all I can contribute to the debate. Otherwise, I support the whole of the report and its wording. I don't, as far as the One Council Northamptonshire, I don't support that, and I have actually said it today as well.
That's fine. Well, they know the districts and boroughs about our opinions on that issue. I have to make it clear, we're not discussing that tonight, we'll have that debate another day. But obviously, it's part of the response, we have to respond on the unitary part. I'm going to ask the other county councillor here, I'll let you come the second time, mate. Just ask the other county councillor, Joel Hatcher, in our midst tonight. Well, we've got another one actually, Councillor Hill. But Councillor Seal over and Swift, just to...
Chairman, for letting me speak, and thank you for making my life very interesting.
I always like to try.
So, because I would like to say a few things. I do not mind what the future will be.
No.
We should not be frightened. We are just worried, fear will enter fear. So it's with no fear that I'm speaking from my own perspective. I have been a district councillor for 4 years, and whatever budget we have as district council, I have found our officer very professional. So I have no reason to doubt what they did, and I have no reason to think they did it with malice to be difficult with the county. They gave their professional opinion. As far as the county is concerned, I am part of the audit committee, and I didn't like, and I made it quite clear, I didn't like the audit report. I didn't like what was said in the audit report, and I was very worried. We are going to have an audit meeting next month, and it's going to be very interesting. So, and sometimes I feel I am out of my depth because things change, and I am always told at county that we are demand-led. Well, everything in life is demand-led, but sometimes I don't have the answer I want, I would like, except that I am maybe a young inner truth member, and finance is not my forte sometimes. But where I was concerned in the budget, and it's true, we are making comments. The budget we have, which I have here, of the draft, as you said, it's for 17, 18, up to 21. And in fact, the government has allowed the county to balance the books in 4 years. So when our officer comments about the direction, he has a right to do so in this county because it's a direction of travel, and what he was referring, he doesn't like the direction of travel, which accord with the figure in front of you. Now, when you put that you are going to have 10 million of saving if you are unitary, and plus another 10 million the year after, it's my understanding that in that case you should have had two budgets in front of us. One budget if we carry on as it is, and one budget if we will be unitary. That is what I have asked to have in front of me, so I can compare apple with apple and pear with pear. And I had no answer. I think the trouble is, it is so difficult, and the county has to do a job that nobody understands the task. And I think the county is not negligent in the way they might spend the money. What it is, we have to go to government and ask government for a better settlement for adult social care and look after children. Because the point is, we cannot, with the money we have, be able to maintain our services. And that is no criticizing of our officer at county, nor our officer at the district. Now, the district has a right to put its comment, and it's all, they do exactly the same job as I do. They question, and it's just a recommendation. So I accept what Steve Osborne says, that we might amend the things. But the spirit is that we are concerned at district level that if the council has such difficulty, it might have an impact on all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. I just want to make one point there about the county's financial position. It's like all county councils.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a big issue around social care and health. And that's an issue I can talk about tonight, which I won't do, because I think it affects all counties. I said a few years ago the county council funding model is broken.
Yes.
It's been proved time and time again. And really the only answer can be you've got two options. Either the government help out, or what will happen is we're going to destroy a lot of local services, in my personal view. Because obviously the county's budgets, as you see tonight, are so big and so huge compared to ours. And we do a lot of good services for our residents. And we're the people actually closer to the ground. They recognise the district more than the county in terms of representation. And I've been on both sides of the equation there. So I do think it's important. Now, I've said it on the radio this morning, I'm happy to support the county in lobbying government, as the local government association are, on behalf of all counties, and all councils actually, unitaries as well, about the social care funding issue. And of course, government have got other issues, so it's not easy all round. But we have got a growing older population, we've got a larger population, it's getting older, and those pressures are going to increase rather than decrease. So I think it's time actually for some innovative thinking about potential new models. I just want one more county council, I'll let Simon come in. Councillor Hills.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I couldn't make the meeting today, I was invited, but I had a hospital appointment, so I couldn't do much about it. But I tend to go along with Councillor Osborne. The position of the council's finances as a county council has been one of the major concerns over a very long period. And quite frankly, there are many, many backbenchers, and I'll say this, who have got concerns, and I don't think enough of them have spoken up about it. That's my honest opinion. I go along with what Councillor Osborne has suggested, which leaves the report mainly in its entirety with just a couple of minor alterations, and I think that covers it. I was very concerned because my understanding was that from the leader of the council that the unitary subject wasn't going to be raised until after the elections in May. Then all of a sudden I find that unitary comes up. I'm certainly not in favour of it, not because of looking at self-preservation or anything like that. I have concerns because we are a very lean council. We manage our budgets very, very well, and I think the concerns on the council are that the finances are in a precarious position. And I think, therefore, I totally support what Councillor Osborne has put forward.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor Hills. I'll let Simon Bowers come in now. There's a lot of other speakers, I'll get around to you.
Just a couple of factual point that is really helpful. I have here the County Council's January monthly financial update report that went through their cabinet just a few days ago. This projects a year-end overspend of 10.0 million, based on having drawn down an additional 5.4 million from reserves, i.e. an unplanned drawdown, which, to my mind, is a total of 15.4 million as a minimum. So I think the suggestion that the financial position has improved is probably a little wide of the mark. In terms of capital, if you look at the county's draft capital programme, the total expected receipts, just judging from this chart, over the period up to 2021-22 looks like about 60 million, which I suspect is the figure that Councillor Osborne has been given. And what another of the bullet points that I didn't read out earlier says, the Council's ability to rely on sizable capital receipts from the sale of its asset base will be reaching its end towards the mid-term of this plan, and that's consistent with the chart I can see here. And the Council is therefore only forecasting relatively small opportunistic disposals after this period. So the largest level of receipts, which is 20 million, is in 16-17, and that's obviously already budgeted for.
Thank you, Simon. Right, we've got a lot of speakers here, so I'm going to go around very quickly. I'll start with Councillor Randall, if you can.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Well, I just think that this response is just what we've known all along. I think that we all have county I've just listened to what Cecile was saying, but it's like everything else. You can give two people two budgets, and they might actually handle those budgets totally differently. One might spend their money very wisely, and one might not. We know how the county council has well, there are a few things in here that I particularly have concerns about, and it's new companies that they've set up, and whether they're going to be cost effective or whether they're not. I think that we've been very truthful in this report, and I'd agree with everything that's in here.
Thanks, Councillor Randall. Councillor Richards?
I think it's an excellent report. Clearly, the finances of the County Council are dire. It's always unfortunate if the wrong bits of paper gets released, but if there is a silver lining, is that it has alerted a lot more people to the issue. I think we've got to get the message out just about how serious the threat to our services are. I wouldn't have minded if we were putting forward a recommendation that the Secretary of State should be invited to intervene. If there are things we can do, I hope that I know that there will be lobbying that should be done by the group of MPs that represent Northamptonshire, but I think that as a district council we should be contacting the Daventry MP and saying that, look, these are our concerns. They're not concerned about structure, they're concerns about the services in which many people actually depend. But I think that Councillor Irving is right in that the problem is not going to be resolved by small tinkering with the budget. The county is facing the problem that it simply isn't receiving the amount of money from central government to deliver the services it needs. And if there is one point in the report that I had a slight reservation about, I'm all for the idea that our social care at the county level is merged with health services. But of course the budgets for the health service at the moment are in just about the same condition as they are for the county. So I'm not sure that that is a way forwards. I fully support the idea that we do not allow the county to use its financial problems as an opportunity to push its unitary agenda. I would have liked us to be in a position where that we had something more positive than no to say in response to that, and I hope that those dealing with the development sessions for us as a council here may have an opportunity where we can actually explore some of these ideas. So I generally feel very, very supportive. I'm tempted to say that it is inevitable that with the problems that the county is facing, there are going to be quite a number of cuts. I searched through the papers, I didn't see any sign of there being any proposal to cut the allowances paid to the councillors.
Thank you, Councillor Richie. Councillor Chandler. No, not really. Councillor James.
Thank you, Chair. The report uses the technical insolvency.
Right.
Technical insolvency.
Where's that?
It's on page 128 in the second paragraph.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah.
Technical insolvency is not quite the same as insolvency. 12 months ago, most of the public companies in the oil and mining sectors were technically insolvent, and they had to sell off assets to be able to put their position on an even keel. So I don't see that the use of the term technical insolvency is offensive. Because that is fact.
But it's not the response, is it?
No. And again, it's used in a slightly different context on page 132 and 28. Would technically be insolvent.
So you don't actually agree with Councillor Osborne, they're staying in, because that's technically correct.
I think if one put technically insolvent in the inverse, it's not offensive. That's a fact. The second point is this. This could actually help the county council.
It might help them.
It could help them, because it's bringing to the attention of a much wider audience, and hopefully central government, that in the care sector is impinging very, very badly, particularly on Northamptonshire, but other county councils as well. And if only a percentage of the 13 billion aid budget was given to local councils, we could solve this care thing
Thank you, Councillor James, for that suggestion. Councillor Gilbert.
I've jotted a few notes down here so I don't forget. I do not agree with the assumption that the report was written with an alternative agenda. I do agree, though, that some of the words could be changed. I agree with Councillor Osborne that insolvency should be removed. In my experience, if you want someone to listen to you, you need to be positive, not negative. So try and make as many of the comments positive, i.e. have comments like have NCC thought about, to try and persuade them, to try and influence. On the insolvency comment, and Councillor James referred to it in the body of the report, I have a mind that maybe it should be removed from both reports. But I'd also like to touch on what Councillor Ritchie said earlier, and yourself touched on that. For me, the overriding factor is in the 8.7, 8.8 that a new model of care should be looked at. Either way, I do favour some form of unitary possibly going forward, but I do think the new model of care should include the social care and the NHS elements, and that the would-be savings purely due through economies of scale. So my point here I'm trying to get at is that appears right at the end, and it's more about a priority, and could we make that stand out more? Because often you read the report, and by the time you get to the end, you want you've lost the importance.
I mean, that does support actually a body of opinion across the country about the integration of social care and health.
So it's whether we should give it higher priority.
Well, I certainly think, I've already raised this with the council before, and I understand the council's finances, that they can't get out of their current position because of the way everything's set up. And the only way it can change is by a fundamental change in the model. And until we go and actually recognise that, I'm afraid we're going to have the same year-on-year difficulties. And I admire the way they're trying to manage it all, but the truth is, you can't, if you're not actually getting there, you're never going to get it because you can't. And I'm trying to be helpful here because actually the truth is we support them. We want things to work in Northamptonshire, and historically Northamptonshire has not been well funded in general terms per capita. That's a fact over many years. I can remember years ago, Brian Bingley lobbying Governor those days in 2005 and before. In fact, we're not getting our fair share in Northamptonshire. So I think it's a historic issue here as well. But what we've got to do is do all their budget proposals, taking account of our residents' interests and our residents, their lives, their services, and we recognise it's very, very difficult. So we have an honest report here, but we're not trying to be damaging, we're trying to be helpful. And I'll let others speak. Who else hasn't spoken here? I'd like to speak. Councillor Collins.
Thank you, Chair. I also made a few notes, so thank you for those. So I need to do that. I'd like to also point this out. I'd agree totally with Councillor Ritchie, actually. I think he's right. This report going out, although a mistake, and clearly was just genuinely that, could have been a silver lining for a number of reasons. I think Northamptonshire County Council actually have a much bigger background, and I'm really glad that it was pointed out, because we've been monitoring that personally, we've been looking at them for a while and observing, just as a normal resident, let alone a district councillor. It's been pretty clear there's a bigger issue at play here. Irrespective of their assets that they call them, whether they're assets or not assets, the truth is we will likely get drawn into their problems. There's no doubt about that, I think. And whenever the word unitary is used, it's been used a number of times in different formats throughout history, actually, particularly in the UK. It's never worked out particularly well. It's always been a disaster, to be honest. And it normally means that well-run areas often suffer because they end up paying far more than their share. And I think as a council, we are very linked. I think we are very well led, and I think that stems throughout. And I know it's been said many times, but it's absolutely true. I'm fully against unitary in its entirety, and I'm glad that in under 4.5 it clearly points that out, what we really want to do. Of course, we've looked at it, and we've also seen that there's possible benefits in it. But the truth is, we as a council will be better outside of it than in it. And so for those reasons, obviously, I support the report. But obviously, I want to make it absolutely clear that I would be totally against that. And I think for many, many reasons, it would lead us down a very dark place. But we can't lose sight we will get drawn into Northampton County Council issues. There's no doubt, I think, about that. So that means that we need to be a little bit careful when we plan beyond 21, because although we budgeted, we know we asked the budget as well, we will have to be quite careful what we do going forward, just in case we have to have even more reserves just to cover issues that might occur.
Trustee, Councillor Collins, Councillor Paul.
Well, I couldn't have put it more clearly if I'd have tried. My colleague over the way, closet conservative really, it's more of a pity that his political member on the county council didn't have the same foresight as he does. However, the idea that social care and health is to blame is a complete and utter nonsense. The county council were aware of the situation years ago, before this ever increased, and a senior cabinet member has, for the last year, we talk about language, this particular cabinet member, and I don't care if anybody tells him, has browbeaten and bullied people with his particular style and his particular language. We don't have a £67 million black hole. We can cover it with our assets. Well, how long will capital for revenue continue? It's only of a temporary basis. You've already heard from our senior officer that bridges and highways are within that and it can't be sold off. They lost their 151 officer, they got another 151 officer. I asked a question about PFI. How much money do the county have on PFI? I got up to about 200 million on PFI, but I was told it was nothing to worry about because we can increase it to 70 years. Well, it's still got to be paid if it's 70 years. The bad debt that they have, has anybody thought about factoring their bad debt to recoup money? And the idea that, we're going to be pillared because we made a clerical error in publishing something, well, I rule the day that the county has never made a mistake. However, going through to Councillor James' comments, it's on page 128 and also on page 132 regarding technically insolvent. They're not thinking about the bush, they are technically insolvent. If they can't recoup their assets, they're going to be insolvent. So, I'm sorry, Councillor Osborne, I have to disagree with you. Also on page 128, of most obvious note, the proposed energy park saving £10 million per annum. Well, colleagues will know that I've looked at heat for power for a number of years. That figure of saving £10 million is certainly unachievable. Further down the page, 4.3. NCC makes a series of proposals. NCC service delivery will be more efficient and cost better controlled if it breaks its organisation down into a series of smaller parts. That's a good idea. Let's have a unitary. They're talking absolute nonsense. I'm ashamed, I don't wish to upset anybody, but we have lived, and somebody has got to talk straight, we have lived with this nonsense for too many years, and I'm sorry, Councillor Shepherd, but you've been in a building and within four walls when some of these statements have been made, and you know, heart of hearts, that these statements have not been true. There is nothing wrong with the report, there is nothing wrong with the language, and I personally would commend it to the committee.
Thank you, Councillor Paul. Right, any more speakers who want to speak? I don't want to come back. Oh, so seriously quick.
Yes, just a very quick point. As it was said, the language can be a bit nicer, but when you speak about the number and our worry, Also, I did remind today that Daventry has always been the counties that have tried to help the county, and we have paid for the A45. We have helped the county. So I said, why on earth would you like us to be difficult just for the sake of being difficult? Worrying is one thing, and I think that is just what you say. And it might be when you write a report to say it's very unusual for us to do so. Try to, but you are deliverer of bad news, as you see it, and it's never nice to be the deliverer of bad news.
On the point, by the way, of the 845, I know the county council are very appreciative of the money we put into that scheme, because as we know, it wouldn't happen otherwise. And that's been, so recently again, so that's good. And we have worked very well with the county council on a number of areas. But the trouble is, you see, if you want to get things sorted out in a good way, you've got to be truthful about where we are and where we're going. And I think what we're trying to do here in this report is to state the facts as we see it on their figures, no one else's figures, their figures, their auditors. And the key thing is to try and be helpful about moving them forward to a better position, if it's possible. I still say the funding model's broken, they need help from central government to actually change the funding model as we move forward. Now, Councillor Shepherd, you heard already, you have a proposal to take out, it would be technically being solved number 2.8 in our response. Is there any other points you would like to see removed? Can you say that?
Thank you, Chris. I mean, certainly my preferred option, I think, it puts the test and failed to want the seconder. Actually, Councillor Guildford spoke, he's a council member here who spoke nearest in support, saying that she would welcome a more positive approach on a number of issues. But if we're talking about significant changes, this is not, as I said earlier, the forum for doing that. Hence my suggestion of asking the Chief Executive to revise in consultation with Chris and me. Now, that remains my preference. If no one else is prepared to support it, it's going to fail. By the sound of the debate, the majority of people, as I think it seems to split fairly evenly, as I've been noting here, that some members who wish to leave it as it is entirely, some members who want to take out the IE part of 2.8, some members maybe who wish to, like me, to take out 2.8 entirely. So maybe now we go on to propositions.
Okay, can I just ask any other piece of the report you're not happy with that's going to go forward, John? In this current form? You mentioned it, because obviously you've got that bit.
Well,
I'm not giving you a fair chance to
well, that's very kind, Chris. I mean, I have already mentioned that I think opening or revisiting the unitary debate in this response is not appropriate. Members, however, I think have largely expressed a contrary view. The reason I think it's inappropriate is that there'll be the appropriate time for the debate will be in due course.
It's part of their budget proposal, John, that's what I'm saying.
Well, it's a tiny part of the roads, in relation to 10 million in 2 years' time. But anyway,
okay, John, so I made the point.
I made the point. But my prime concern is 2.8. So in terms of making a proposition to members, that is it. To remove 2.8.
That's fine, thank you, John. Thank you much indeed. Just quickly, questions, Councillor McQuarrie?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I have to say I don't agree with what Councillor Shepherd has just said. I echo what was said from the front. The reference to unitary is included in their budget. It is perfectly legitimate to respond to it, and I think we should respond to it, not just because we don't support unitary in principle, but also because it's bad budgeting. I mean, my background is that...
Section 151 officer.
It is, but over the years I've made a habit of going into councils that are failing financially and turning them round.
Right.
In my opinion, the county council is failing financially.
Right.
And it pains me to say that because I know some of the senior members of the county council fairly well. It is living off asset sales, it's living off loans, or albeit as an emergency measure, but they won't continue forever. It's got an in-year overspend. Its balances are going down. Its Section 151 officer has moved on, either voluntarily or was pushed out through the door. It's been criticised by its external auditors in a pretty unprecedented way. The budget is full of proposals that are undeliverable, such as unitary. County Council has no ability to deliver that. It's in the hands of others. It's full of proposals that are vague and to be defined. They're proposals that I would never have allowed to go out anywhere near a budget when I was running things. And as a council, its senior managers have a history of non-delivery of previous budget savings. I think it is heading in completely and totally the wrong direction. To be honest, I'm surprised that their current Section 151 officer is supporting, has allowed something like this to be put forward. I would predict that unless something radical changes, we'll probably get a Section 114 report somewhere in the next 18 months.
Yeah. Okay, well thank you. That's, okay, thank you for that, Councillor McGrath. I'm not sure that's a good way to end, but certainly probably the appropriate way to come to the suggested changes. Now, Councillor Sheffield, you're saying on 2.8, you would basically like to see that removed altogether. That's your first option. Is there any support in our strategy group for that to be removed altogether? Show your hands, please. No, okay. The second point is, which I think Councillor Osborne also supported, is to remove, it would technically be insolvent words, i.e. it would technically be insolvent. Those in favour of those being removed.
Can I just make a point before you get to the vote?
Sorry.
I don't make it because it might not be true. I make the point because I think it would be better for relations with the county council without that wording.
Okay, that's fair enough. Councillor Osborne's made a fair point. So we put forward that proposal. Who would like to see the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words removed after IE, or after IE plus the 5 words? Who'd like to see that removed? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's actually not. Thank you. So, is there any other proposal, John? No, that's the main one. So, are we now saying then we're going to submit the proposed response as shown on the papers? Good. Is that agreed? Yes. Anyone against? John? Any abstentions?
I understand it. Because of those, because you didn't accept that, I'm abstaining from that.
Okay. That's carried then. Thank you, Mr. Dean, and that's the business in this meeting. Thank you.